Welcome to the very first, or should I say the pilot episode of Full Ride, the Athletic Scholarship Podcast powered by URECRUITU. This is your recruiting and athletic scholarship coach, Kito Delgado, and I'm just so thankful that you've tuned in. And I'm not going to keep you too long today. The goal of this show today is very simple. I want to introduce you to Full Ride, the reason why we have it, what you can expect from us each and every week. Let you know a little bit more about URECRUITU. And then, of course, I want to wrap it up and tell you about myself, tell you about my recruiting experience. And hopefully, if you like what you hear, if you think I can be of help to you, you tune in next week for our official first episode. But before we get to all that, just some housekeeping. Want to encourage you to follow us on all of your social media platforms. We are on first Instagram and Twitter, and our handle is the letter U, recruit you, the letter U. So URECRUITU. And then also you can follow URECRUITU on Facebook, like our Facebook page. But those are all great destinations to follow us on. And what we do is we post, some motivational quotes, pictures, videos, but then we also share some really, we provide updates for you. And then every Thursday, I go live on Facebook under the URECRUITU Facebook page for what we call Study Hall. And Study Hall is a video version, very similar, to the podcast, but we go live every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's more Q&A. We take your questions, and we try our best to answer them right on the spot. And if we don't have any questions, we'll just go in, and we'll have, a particular topic that we cover. But the goal really is to provide you with some recruiting best practices, some education, and then also updates on various topics as it centers around college recruitment. So, why did we start Full Ride? And what can you expect from us every time you come to listen, right? What is our commitment that we are making to you? Well, it's going to be about 15 to 20 minutes, and it's going to be every Thursday. So that's the first commitment. Weekly podcast, 15 to 20 minutes. Now, who is this for? Well, yes, at the end of the day, we are helping our student athletes navigate college recruitment. We're helping them hopefully earn, some type of financial assistance, a scholarship to play college athletics. But we're not naive. We know most of our kids, they spend their time, on Snapchat, on YouTube, and I'm not knocking it. So really, Full Ride is for our parents of our high school student athletes, because mom and dad, we know you are constantly bringing your kids to and from various sporting events, whether it's a weight room session, whether it's a session with a personal trainer, whether it's a tournament, whatever the case may be. You spend a lot of time in your car. And the beautiful thing about podcasts is you can hit that play button maybe while you're working out, whether you're driving, you're running errands. You can pop it into your headphones. You can also play it in your car, depending on how old your car is. Hit the auxiliary button and do it that way. So we wanted to provide you with some education that you can take on the go. because parents, we know you're constantly on the go. You got places to go, people to see, and things to accomplish. So you can hit that play button and just kind of, listen to what we say as you handle your business. So that's why we started the podcast. We talked about what you can expect from us, and but really, at the end of the day, the motivation behind the podcast, but then also You Recruit You, which again you can follow at You Recruit You, and then on Facebook you can like our page. What that is all about is I, as a recruiting coach and educator, I work directly with families, and I'm not a recruiting service, meaning I don't call college coaches on your behalf. That's not what I do. That's not the service that I provide, or that we provide at You Recruit You. Here's just a quick tip right off the bat, mom and dad. College coaches don't want to hear from college recruiting services. They really don't want to even hear from you, quite frankly. They really, at the end of the day, want to hear from the athlete. So we work with families and we help families navigate this process. We help them come up with a game plan. We hold them accountable to that game plan, and we really just hold their hands and walk them through the college recruitment process. We provide them with email templates, worksheets, provide them, let them know how to manage social media, how to leverage that, how to communicate with coaches. That's a big, big thing that we really hang our hat on. Is every service will tell you, yes, you got to call a coach, and that's great. They'll also tell you that coaches want to hear from student athletes. We agree. But here's the thing. You want a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old to call an adult and market themselves. They need some practice. At least you should want them to have some practice, right? Because think about this. You'll get your child a tutor if they're struggling in a subject. You'll get them a personal trainer, for their sport. Maybe, they play goalie for soccer, you get them a goalie coach. They play basketball, you get them a shooting coach. If they want to improve their SAT score, what do? You get them an SAT coach, right? So we do all these things, right? But then when it comes to recruitment, it's kind of like, well, we'll see what happens. So the families that we really help out see the value in really being able to have that coach that can guide them through the process. And now about me. So, what makes me qualified to speak on this subject? I think the best way to do it is to tell you a quick story about myself, and then we'll get you out of here. And I hope you come back for our first official episode next Thursday. But I'm from Schenectady, New York. And I went to a very small school, Notre Dame Bishop Gibbons. And, it's funny, I watch all these different movies or television shows, and they got Friday Night Lights, and, the big night of the week for football is Friday. And everyone plays under the lights, and it's really cool. Well, at my school, I had a graduating class of 64, and there was no such thing as Friday Night Lights because we didn't have lights for our field. All of our games were played on Saturday mornings or early afternoons where there were no cameras, nobody was covering us, and it was a very small conference. So not only did I play for a small school in a small conference, but we were 2-7 my junior year, and we were 2-7 my senior year. And at the end of my junior year, I was very good. At least compared to the competition that I was going against, I was very good. But the problem was not a single coach knew I existed outside of maybe a few Division III schools that are right here in the Capital Region. I think Union College and RPI, they knew a little bit about me. But as far as Division II schools, Division I, Division I AA schools, they didn't know anything about me, despite me being one of the better players in the capital region. And then one day, my coach, he came to my parents, Coach Carmen Ardino. Love this man. He's a great man. What's going on, Coach? I hope you're listening. But Coach Ardino went to my parents, and he said, "Hey, I wanna bring Kito to this camp. It's a one-day camp. Can I bring him at Holy Cross?" And my parents were like, "Great." They cut him a check, and then he drove me about an hour and a half, 2 hours to Holy Cross. And I had no idea what I was doing there. I just thought it was just a regular old camp, right? And we register, and they give me a bin with 4 or 5 numbers on it. And then before I know it, they're saying, "Hey, Kito, need you to run a 40. I'm like, "A 40? What's a 40? And coach is like, "Just run over there, start there, run 40 yards. I'm like, "Okay." Never ran a 40-yard dash. I mean, I ran track, but like the concept of a 40-yard dash, never heard of it. So I run the 40-yard dash. And then like, "Okay, we want you to do a vertical jump." I'm like, "Okay," I do a vertical jump. And then they want me to do these 3-cone drills. And before I know it, I'm like, "Coach, what am I doing? What is all this? I've never done any of these drills." And he's like, "Kito, don't worry about it. You're doing great. I'll explain it later. Just keep doing it." I'm like, "Okay." I trust you. And then they're like, "Hey, son, we need you to go to this bench press. Bench press that as many times as you can." I looked at Coach. I was like, "Coach, I've never lifted in my life." He was like, "I know. Just do what you can." I couldn't lift it up. I got zeros. True story. And then I did a bunch of routes, and for those of you who have gone through this may sound familiar to you. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but I was at an exposure camp. I was at a combine, a one-day combine. And I noticed while I was doing this, a lot of different coaches were talking to my coach, Coach Ardino. And I'll fast forward, I'll speed this up. On the way back home, he's like, "Kito, you just changed your life." And I had no idea what he was talking about. I'm like, "I changed my life? What I did? I was in shorts and I ran around for 2 hours. What do you mean I changed my life?" He's like, "I think you're gonna get a scholarship out of this." I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah." And what ended up happening was going into my senior year, that's when a lot of coaches, quote unquote, discovered me. You know, a Northeastern, a Boston University, a Maine, a New Hampshire, a bunch of 1AA, now it's called, the FCS, football subdivision of Division I, but 1AA schools, they saw me that day, and then they started recruiting me. And I was very fortunate. I ended up getting a full athletic scholarship to attend Boston University. But here's the thing, when I got there, I wasn't prepared. I was not prepared. I'll talk about this in another episode. But I wasn't prepared mentally. I wasn't prepared physically because it was a different level of football. And I was in for a rude awakening because everybody was stronger. Everybody was bigger. Everybody was faster. I wasn't prepared for that. But halfway through my freshman year, the program decided that they were going to cut football from athletics. And I had a real decision to make. I could stay there on scholarship or I could transfer. And I decided to transfer. And I transferred across town. As LeBron would say, I took my talents to Northeastern University. And I ended up graduating from there with a degree in business administration while playing for the Huskies. I was a wide receiver. And over time, I'll dig into more about my story overall and my experiences in college. But I wanted to share that with you because I know there is a family out there or an athlete who maybe you play at a very small school today and no one's knocking on your door today. and you're losing hope. You're losing confidence. Maybe you're starting to question if you are good enough. I'm telling you right now, yes, you are. Just no one knows about it yet. You're the best kept secret. And on the flip side, maybe you play at a big time school. And, you know, schools just come because you guys are a factory, and because of your track record, schools just show up in droves to see your team play. Hey, I'm happy for you. That's awesome. But you still have work to do, right? What got you to this point isn't going to keep you, right? There's always next levels. And that's what I learned in college, that there's always more talented players out there. And so really, I started URECRUITU after a number of years. I was helping, you know, family members, friends navigate the process. I was helping them earn athletic scholarships, whether it's family members, but also close friends and friends of friends. And, you know, I would literally sit down with them at the kitchen table. I'd map it out. I'd check in with them. I'd really hold their hand through the process. And there's a great feeling in getting that first call when they say, Kito, Coach Kito, we got a scholarship offer. I'm like, great, let's get that second one. Let's get that third one, because here's the reality. I'm not here just to help you get a scholarship just to any school. I truly want you to get a scholarship to the school that you have a desire to attend, because the scholarship is only good if you actually have a sincere desire in going to that school. And many families, what ends up happening is they sit back, they don't proactively, take recruiting into their own hands, and they only focus on the schools that recruit them. And then when no schools recruit them, they just assume they're not good enough, and then, they don't play. And as a result, parents are frustrated, they're overwhelmed, and honestly, they're just disappointed because the goals and the dreams that their child may have had of playing in college aren't realized. So I'm really passionate about showing our high school and some even younger 7th, 8th graders. I'm really passionate about just showing our student athletes, boys and girls, all sports, and their parents how to go about recruiting. It's a process. You have to have a game plan. Just like, and I'm sure our athletes can relate, you would never just show up day one and just play a game without first practicing, right? Without first having a plan of attack, right? Without studying your opponent, right? You do all that. This is no different when it comes to college recruitment. And the reality, though, is this, and I'm going to get you out of here. The reality is our athletes have never gone through this process. They're brand new, right? It's their first time. And our parents, many of you, maybe you did go to college, but you didn't play athletics. You weren't a recruited athlete. So you don't know what you don't know. And as a result, mistakes happen. Big mistakes happen that can literally cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, I'm not guaranteeing you this. I guess this is a good time to say this. I'm not guaranteeing you that by listening to the podcast or signing up for the URECRUITU services, you're going to be guaranteed a full athletic scholarship. I can't do that. That's irresponsible of me to do so. As a matter of fact, here's just a quick myth that I'm going to just put aside for you and answer is the fact that the majority of college athletes aren't on a full ride. They're on a partial scholarship. Hey, but there's nothing wrong with that. To be able to have the opportunity to play in college, and oh, by the way, we're going to give you some money along the way to offset the cost, that's awesome. Now, if you get a full ride, that's a beautiful thing. I was on a full ride. Books, room and board, meal plan, tuition, all covered. Graduated, not a penny in debt. That's a beautiful thing. So I never tell families not to go for the full ride because, again, we're athletes. We compete, we set goals, we go for it, right? But I just want to be very realistic too, right? So that's why we have the Full Ride podcast. We want to be a free resource to you that you can take on the go, listen to what you hear. We want to give you a winning game plan, right? That's the game plan. Every week, you're going to come in 15 to 20 minutes, and we're going to give you one quick game plan to execute on for the week. All right? That's the goal. And occasionally, so that you don't get tired listening to me, I'm going to bring on maybe a parent of a current or former college athlete. I'm going to bring on a former or current college athlete. And then, when time permits, when it aligns, I'm going to try to do my best to bring in a college coach who can talk about the recruitment process from their point of view. But they can also share some best practices, and they can also reveal the types of athletes they are looking for. Sound good? So every Thursday, 15, 20 minutes, the majority of the time is going to be yours truly, Coach Kito Delgado, providing you with a winning play that's going to help you take control of the recruiting process. But occasionally, we're going to bring on some guests, and they include parents of college athletes, and then college coaches. But that's what we got this week. I want to invite you to tune in next Thursday. And what we're going to discuss next week is we're going to talk about the number one mistake, parents and high school athletes make when it comes to the recruiting process. If you avoid making this mistake, you will drastically increase your chances of earning an athletic scholarship. But until then, this is your recruiting coach, Kito Delgado, reminding you that college recruitment starts with you. What steps are you taking today to earn an athletic scholarship tomorrow?